Welcome, everyone. We'll call this meeting to order. Thanks for coming on short notice. We've got, I think, mostly a single agenda item. First of all, I think we're all here, right, Matt? Nobody's missing?
Right.
Okay, no, we're good. So we've got a request for proposal. Matt, do you want to take us through that? Or a request for decision, I guess, yeah. Basically, there's a fire. I mean, the fires. We all kind of probably know the basics of the issue, but maybe just. I think we need some assessment of what the need is and what the action needs to be. So. Can you hear? Can you all hear when I talk?
I can.
Yeah,
we can hear you. Maybe Matt can't.
Matt, are you there?
If everyone who isn't talking mutes themselves, it makes the person talking easier to hear.
Yeah, that's probably a good point.
If everybody can put their mics on mute when you're not speaking, that's a little bit better there.
Did you hear the intro, Matt?
Yeah, I'm here. Just
okay.
Having a little bit of feedback.
Okay. You're going to kind of run down the situation for us?
Stuart is on. If Stuart wants to run us through the RFD, he's got a good background on where things are at with the Alberta Emergency Management Agency request. Yeah, I heard the call to order. Yeah.
Good. Okay.
Perfect. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, go ahead, Stuart.
All right, perfect. Thank you, folks, first of all, for coming in on a Saturday morning and having this brief meeting. So at about 3 o'clock yesterday afternoon, I received a call from Kevin from AEMA. He sits in the Provincial Operations Center as the field officer for AEMA. He had asked us, I guess resources up north there are starting to get a little thin with the evacuation of Edson last night. The situation up there has gotten a lot worse. So he phoned just to inquire what we had for assets and if we were willing to release any assets from the County of Newell to go up into the Edson area and help put those fires out. His request was not for engines, but for tenders and for our rapid response or our brush buggies. And I explained to him how many we had. I said I might be comfortable with releasing 2 tenders and releasing 2 brush buggies, but we have to keep the County of Newell protected as well. So he hung up from that. We ended up having a multi-jurisdictional fire last night in the Rosemary area. To which I attended, and then we got the call around 7:30, and I actually happened to be out of my truck helping roll open hay bales to try and get this silly fire out in Rosemary. But I did contact Lane just shortly after 8 o'clock, saying that the province at this time has requested us to bring 1 tender up into that area to give a hand, with the possibility of the second tender and the 2 rapid responses going sometime soon. If you've read my request for proposal here or decision, you can see that I am comfortable with 2 tenders from Bizano and Dutchess going, just simply because we have another tender that's up in Gem that can filter to both communities as automatic mutual aid if we had a serious fire. Bizano also has 2 other engines there, so they've got 2,000 gallons of water sitting readily available for them, as well as a rapid response vehicle. And then, of course, Dutchess, well, the tender's brand new. It actually got broke in last night, the very first fire that it was on. And I think we could, have it leave Dutchess for a period of time with another engine being in Dutchess as well with 1,000 gallons of water. So with that, I think the request for the one tender, my allocation this morning, if we get council's approval, would be to send Dutchess's tender off to Edson there to give them a hand. And then subsequently, the rapid response vehicles, my rationale is if we use Rosemary's rapid response to go assist the province, we have rapid response vehicles all around the community of Rosemary. So we can certainly send mutual aid, depending on where the fire is, very, very quickly into Rosemary to give them an assist. And then the other one being up in Rolling Hills. And that's simply because Rolling Hills truck is brand new. It's never been there. So this is a new asset up in that area. And if we could, I guess, delay having that unit up in that area for a little bit of time to go assist the province, I think we could handle that. Again, with Tilly, with their rapid response only being about 15 minutes away to come into their area to help them out. And then Scandia come as well. And truly in Rolling Hills, they have an engine and they have a pumper tender. So they've got about 4,000 gallons worth of water just sitting in that fire hall that can go out and help. Having said that, they are big pieces of equipment, so going over the prairie with those heavy equipment makes it a little difficult. So that's my rationale or my thought on apparatus allocation and how we would be able to mitigate within the county of Newell any situations that would arise. The other thing that came through discussions with the three municipality CAOs was if we're going to start removing assets out of the county of Newell to assist the province, we'd be prudent to put a fire restriction on. The word was restriction or a ban, and I quickly went to restriction because if we go to a restriction, it stops all the burn barrels, it stops all the field burning for now, but it still allows the residents to have their pleasure pits, which is a huge bone of contention typically when these fire restrictions or bans come on. We changed the fire bylaw to reflect that in a restriction they can still operate their pleasure pits. So to me, my recommendation would be to go to a restriction, not a ban at this time. If conditions get worse, if we end up having a fire as a result of something like this, then we would quickly go to a ban. But getting back to this RFP and the apparatus allocation going north, it is my recommendation that we do allow these 4 pieces of apparatus to go north as the province asks for them. We will not allocate any more. And of course, the apparatus allocation going north is really dependent on our firefighters, right? We have a lot of farmers, and filling the apparatus might be a bit of a difficulty. So if we can't fill the apparatus, we can't operate the apparatus, so it probably wouldn't go. So it is really dependent on the volunteers and those that are willing to go. The other aspect to that is we're not going to deplete one complete community. So we wouldn't take 5 firefighters out of Rosemary to jump in their rapid response vehicle to go up north. We would try and pick from the other fire departments to join that rapid response vehicle so that we're not losing so many members in one area, so that we still have assistance as it goes. So yeah, at the end of the day, that is my recommendation, that we do allow them to go. I think I've thought and planned out how we allocate resources and things like that as we go forward. I'll take any questions if you have any.
Okay, Stuart, thanks. I have a couple of questions, and I'm sure others do too, but I'll start quick here. What is the, you say if you put a restriction on, then field fires can't happen anymore locally?
That is correct, yeah.
I mean, we're at the start of agriculture season here. If anybody needs to do that, they need to do it now.
Yeah.
And just, you know, that's maybe that's maybe more significant than stopping a pleasure pit if that's the case. And I'm not sure what the proponents is of field fires, but if they're going to happen, they're going to happen now, or or before now, because people need to do that in order to get going with the next crop. So I think we need to consider that kind of carefully. Or what's your
and currently the consideration is just one tender heading off to off to Edson. So in my feeling, I think we could get away with probably leaving things as status quo for now. I know that we're already talking amongst us as fire chiefs that if we really don't get significant rain conditions here in the next week, we might need to start thinking about it after the long weekend and putting the restriction on. Having said that, I think a lot of people have burnt already, and one would hope that, I would think by after May long, that if we put a restriction on, it's probably not a huge big deal. It'll be more of a big deal to those farmers that have the big garbage pits that they like to burn in the summertime, the burn barrels that residents use, and things like that. And truly, if I can't quantify this right now, but I think if I were to go back to fires that happen in the summertime, typically come from those burn barrels because they don't have the retention screen on, the sparks get away, catches the yard on fire and things like that. So at this time, with just one tender going, we could probably leave things as normal. But I think if we lose another tender and a brush buggy, we definitely want to seriously think about putting the restriction on. And then, of course, that would be in consultation with the fire chief. I don't make that decision arbitrarily. I work with 9 or 10 fire departments within the county of Newell.
how many volunteer firefighters do we have in the county?
In the county of Newell, currently we have 125. So that's the 9 fire departments. That's not including books. So
You know how many, like a large percentage, I think you indicated this, of them would be working in agriculture, which is, I know from talking to my fire chief, even last night, they had a hard time filling their trucks to get to the fire that you talked about, because there's people doing other things and simply aren't able to get to the fire because of their work. I certainly don't want to stress that further than we need to. And I guess the other thing is, what is the urgency from the province, would you say? Are all of the, do you have any awareness of what other municipalities are doing to assist?
I don't know that 100%. I know that, typically they start as close to home as possible. So up in the Yellowhead County area, and then it just filters out from there. So I would assume that if they're coming as far as Newell County, that's coming pretty south. So I would assume that maybe there's a lot of resources out there already, and they're just trying to get a handle on it.
Okay, anyone else have questions? Go ahead, Kelly, please.
Stuart, my question is, how long would the attendees or the firefighters be gone? Do you know, or would they stay for the endurance of the fire? What's the plan there?
Yeah, with the urban interface plan, and it's a document I shared with Lane yesterday. Deployment is typically 4 days to 14 days, and they would either switch out or come back. So it would definitely be a maximum of 15 days. And when we allocate the resource to the province, that's not saying that they have to stay there. If conditions got worse here, we didn't have enough personnel, I have to talk to the duty officer and say we need to pull our resources back to the county of Newell to have our resources here to assist. So it's not in stone 4 days, 14 days. It's as I see fit, and if I need to pull them back, then I pull them back.
Go ahead, Holly.
Sorry.
Holly?
So
Yeah, sorry.
I understand there's a couple firefighters willing to go from Dutchess at this point. What is the status and availability of our fire support staff?
I haven't heard back from my chiefs yet. That was one of the first things I did yesterday. Is we had an emergency meeting at 4:30 to discuss this matter. They, as chiefs, were supposed to feather out to their firefighters to find out who may or may not be available. So I haven't heard back from any fire chiefs yet. Just simply timing with the fire that happened last night, me getting back, and then of course engaging Matt and your group so that we could have this discussion this morning. So I haven't heard back from the fire chiefs yet, but I suspect I should hear soon. And again, that gets to the point of, you know, just because we're saying that we have the possibility and we can respond with 4 units, doesn't mean we're going to respond with 4 units. If we can't fill a truck, we're not going to send the truck. The province doesn't want that because they don't want just a unit. They want people that will run the unit. So if we can't fill it, we can't send it.
And the fire last night, was it a grass fire or how did it start?
No, this was a huge bale fire there in Rosemary. And I'm guesstimating probably close to 200 bales burnt up there, and a lot of spent breaking bales apart and rolling them out, spreading them out, and cooling them down. So it almost got into the coulee, which started head towards Rosemary there, but Dutchess got on that far side there with her engine and got things stopped pretty quickly, and it stayed kind of just to the farm area.
How many people would you need to send on this first call, Stuart?
On this first one, 2 people. Our tenders only can fit 2 people, and the purpose of the tender is water supply. So truly, we just need the 2 people to run the truck and fill the tanks and refill the tender as needed. So that's all it would be, is 2 at this time.
Okay, thanks, Stuart. Dan, go ahead.
I think part of the reason you haven't gotten full response from your chiefs yet is some of the firefighters have questions of when do you leave, like how long you're going to be gone, and before they can say whether or not they'll be there. And that would be my question: is when are you planning on sending the first unit out?
Well, the unit that they're requesting the tender. If I get approval this morning, I've got to pick some DEF up at Allied, and I'm going right to Dutchess to drop it off, and they should be in Edson by 3 or 4 o'clock this afternoon. So that's just the first unit, though.
Okay, thanks. Lynette, you got your hand up.
I don't understand what a tender exactly is. Could you just describe that for me, Stuart?
Yeah, for sure. So within the county of Newell, we call them pumper tenders because it has the ability to pump water onto fire, but it's a water hauler. It's a 3,000-gallon water hauler that we have. Within the province's allocation, they call it an S2 or a Super 2 because it's got so much water to it. And I think that's why the province kind of likes the fact that we could possibly bring that to them. It's not your typical 1,500 or 2,000 gallon tank. It's a 3,000. It's a lot of water that they can supply to a scene and fill a lot of trucks at one time. So
I assume they use commercial water haulers for that at site too, would they, Stuart? Like
yeah,
big water trucks that are made for that.
Yeah, that's right. We do, you know, even within the county of Newell, right? We have some Mennonites that have the Super Bs that show up on scene, and it's the same thing up there in Edson. They do have the big Super B tankers there, and all that good stuff. So it's not that they don't have it there; they're just looking for more to help get it. The more resources you put on a fire, the easier it is to put it out.
Okay. Are there any? Oh, go ahead, Greg.
Stuart, does that include the volunteers? Does that include Brooks? Are we working with Brooks, the chief there too, for availability of volunteers?
Yeah, Kevin, I reached out to Kevin yesterday because the province did reach out to him as well. He doesn't have resources to allocate out, but I'm not too sure on the personnel end of things. So I certainly can reach out to Kevin again and have that conversation about, yeah, you can't take resources, but would you be willing to throw some of your firefighters in our vehicles to go up there? And I, just because of my years with the Brooks Fire Department, I know there's some eager beavers that would want to do something like that. So.
Yeah, I guess my feeling, are there any other questions? I do have, I guess I'm concerned about releasing 14 people from this area at this time of the year. And I you know, it's great to have eager beavers, and we need them around here too. but I know some of the chiefs are probably concerned about what happens if we draw down on too much on our resources, because we're not that big an area. At the end of the day, if there's demand, the help comes from everywhere, so it draws on every department too. I mean, two people with one truck is probably good, but I'm concerned about blanket approval of 14 people that could be released anytime in the next 2 or 3 weeks, when things could change quite a bit. If we don't get rain around here, our situation changes a lot fast, I think.
Good comments, Reeve, Dirksen. Again, I said 14 in my request for decision here. But at the end of the day, I based it off of, the Dodge 1-ton trucks can fit 5 people, the tenders fit 2 each. But truly, on our 1-ton rapid response vehicles, we can shave that down to 3, not 5, just simply because we need someone to drive the truck, we need someone to operate the pump, and we need someone to spray the nozzle. So 3 people could ultimately go, which saves us about 4 personnel in going, right? So that 14 can go probably down to 10 people out of the 125 we have in the county.
Okay, Stuart, do you have any indication or expectation of when and what the next ask might be? Like, will it be for a rapid response vehicle with some personnel, or do you have any indication of when and what that might be?
I really get the impression the biggest ask is for water. So I think the next one would probably be the tender again, and then possibly our 1-ton trucks going after that. So.
Okay. But no indication of timing, really.
There is no indication of timing. I think they base it off of, are we holding, so this operational period today into tomorrow, they'll probably do a reassessment. Are we holding, or is it growing? And if it's growing, we need more resources. Now, where do we get those resources from? The same thought pattern I use within the county of Newell, right? If it's not working, we need more people. We need to bring them in. So the province works off the same theory. So they would probably operate the end of the day operational period today, and then again tomorrow, and then probably I would assume Monday would probably be the next call if it's needed. So
okay, thanks, Kelly. You got a question?
Yeah, just when our men leave, they stay with our trucks, so legally they're responsible for that capital investment.
Yes, 100%. They stay with the trucks. I've had Emerson already check in with insurances because when we take an apparatus outside the county of Newell somewhere else, how does that affect our insurances? And they assured me that there's absolutely no difference. There's no problem with us taking that apparatus to help in Edson. I think the other thought out there is what happens if the apparatus burns up while it's there, and I get that 100%, but we could have that situation happen here as well as there. So to me, that's hopefully, knock on wood, we've never had it in the county of Newell, and hopefully we never will. And I know with JR going, the deputy chief and Duchess, if he gets to go, very responsible person that will take care of that truck if it's leaving the county,
Okay, thank you. Holly?
Just Stuart,
Go
could
ahead,
you
Holly.
give us an update on exactly where the fire is at? Because I checked online and I really couldn't get good current news today on where the fire is at.
Yeah, so the POC this morning, the report was that the fire has grown right around the town of Edson there, and that's about the best I can give you. I don't have much more than that. So,
Stuart, the process we're going through here this morning hasn't really slowed you down, other than I guess you would have known last night if we'd have met last night. But that's where my thinking is going. Is I kind of feel more comfortable dealing with these asks one at a time, rather than a blanket approval that could bite us if our situation changes in the next week or two. This is a pretty efficient way to get an answer for you fairly quickly, isn't it?
it is, and I'm fine with that. I was hoping that we wouldn't have to worry about meeting again, but I truly respect that. And I almost thought about putting that third option in there, that we just allow this tender to go for now and then reevaluate if another ask comes in. So I would be okay with that kind of an amendment happening.
Okay, and I haven't talked to any of the others of your council what your feeling is. I just think that might be, I'm just concerned that we get short our own situation where we are volunteer dependent and they're excellent, but they've got a lot of balls in the air right now. And I'm just speaking for some of the young firefighters that I know. They're already stretched pretty far. Go ahead, Dan.
Yeah, even if we lost 14 firefighters to up north, it still leaves us with 109. And then, regards to each separate department, there's guys that it is volunteer, and sometimes you make the choice. Yeah, there's guys that are already responding. I won't bother going. But once a few of your department have left, now you're going to respond. So I know what the text group does. I've seen it firsthand. You see, yeah, 8 people are responding to this. I'm not going. I've got something else that's a little bit more important. But if there's people gone away, you're going to look at this. There's only 2 people responding. I have to go now because that's more important. I don't think allowing up to 14 people to go to this fire is going to hinder our abilities at all. And as far as the equipment, like Stuart's outlined, I think we're quite safe in releasing those things. I'm perfectly comfortable with giving permission for all of it at the one time right now. And the other thing is, the guys that have done the wildfire training, this would be an excellent opportunity for them to actually get to experience what wildfire fighting is actually like. Sometimes you do the training, but then you're wondering what it's actually like to do that stuff. This would be a great opportunity. So I'm fully in favor of sending people, and I kind of actually hope I get to go.
Okay, thanks, Sam. Any other perspectives, or are you ready? Greg, go ahead, please.
Yeah, I agree with Dan. Dan, I really appreciate your perspective on that. You being someone that is in the know on this kind of thing, that's real important. I think with the volunteers, as long as it's spread out throughout the county, and if we could call on Brooks too, that would increase the number of firefighters available, volunteer firefighters in the area. So I'm with Dan on this. I agree with what he's saying.
Okay, no, that's fair, and I'm open to that. My comments came from our fire department people who are busy guys, doing, and that doesn't fly in the face of what you said, Dan. I'm comfortable with what council decides here, but I do think we need to pay attention to what's going on at home first. Go ahead, Lynette, please.
If I understood Stuart correctly,
even though they ask for these other things, if Stuart doesn't feel comfortable letting them go, he's not going to. So if we end up in a situation where you can't, like, don't feel comfortable giving them more, we just won't. And I think Stuart is the best expert on that.
Yeah, thanks, Lynette. Good comments. Any other comments or perspectives, or are we ready for a motion for a decision here? Go ahead, Greg.
Yeah, sorry about that. Stuart, as far as if we did get something that did get away on us, and we did send these assets up north, what's our relationship with our surrounding municipalities as far as maybe Cyprus and some of the other, areas of, as far as maybe pulling some assets from them that aren't sending up to Edson, because it is quite a ways away. How thin are our other areas around us as far as assets go?
Reached out to our neighboring counties, but as far as I'm aware, I think we're the first ask in the county of Newell. It may be very possible that maybe Taber County was also approached. I can tell you that I've fostered an excellent relationship, in particular with Cyprus, Special Areas, Vulcan, and Taber County. Wheatland, I don't talk to the chief too much there, but with all of them, we do have that mutual aid agreement that they would come at a moment's notice to give us a hand if we needed. And I have no doubt that every one of them, if they've got the resources, will respond quickly to our areas to help us out.
Yeah, I know. Adding to that, up in our area, north of Gem, when there's been grass fires, typically there's been quite a few resources from Wheatland come down, not necessarily Wheatland fire departments, but landowners, Hutterite colonies that have equipment to fight fires. So that is, on this end of the county, there's certainly, whether it's Wheatland County resources or just area landowners, it's usually a pretty good response, I would say. Up here, I'm speaking just for our north area here. Kelly, go ahead, please.
I think there's been good discussion, and I think I'm ready to make a motion as recommended by Stuart. Adding to that, Stuart, that we're here for you, that we're not dropping this all on you, and we hope you don't feel that way at all. So reach out anytime, if I could add that caveat to the motion.
Okay, thanks, Kelly. Any further discussion? Matt, are you on? You're taking note of that? Is Matt with you there, Greg?
I've got that.
Okay, good. Oh, there, now I see you. Okay, any further questions or discussion relating to the motion? Seeing none, I'll call a question. All in favor? How do we do this best? Just put up hands, and can you see everybody, Matt?
Just, I cannot see Ellen. If Ellen can verbalize her vote.
Ellen, are you on? I don't see Ellen.
I had to push the button. Can you not see me?
No.
No.
Okay, I would vote in favor.
Okay, thank you. Any opposed? Any opposed? I think that's carried. You agree with that, Matt?
That looks good.
Okay. So that all of our agenda items. Is there anything else, Matt?
That is the only thing we can deal with, so.
Okay, good. Well, with that, Stuart, we wish you well. Thanks for your work on this, and
All right.
Convey to all of our firefighters and everyone involved that we appreciate the effort that goes into our area and the willingness to help out in other areas across the province. So we wish you well in that, and keep us posted. Thank you.
Okay, and if I could just say quick, folks, thank you very much for your support. I appreciate it. And definitely, I'm going to do everything in my power to keep the County of Newell protected. That's number one. But yes, if we can reach out and help our partners, I definitely am in favor of doing that. So thank you for your support on that.
Great, thank you. Okay, thank you everyone for coming on this morning. We'll see you next week. Have a good weekend.
All right, thank you.
Okay, bye now.